You're watching Global Trade This Week with Pete Mento and Doug Draper.
All right, Global Trade This Week is live and kicking. We're coming to you another weekly edition of your favorite show, Transportation, Logistics, International Trade. I'm one of your hosts, Doug Draper. On the other side of the coast is my good friend, phenomenal co-host with some amazing halftime discussions, Mr. Pete Mento. Pete, how you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. I'm worried about you. It sounded like you needed a moment to, like, who am I? Who's this jackass in the other video? Like, I don't know. Are you forgetting that we do this show every week? Is something?
No, it was a moment. So the countdown, so our audience knows whenever the two of us are split screen, there's a countdown, 6, 7. So the countdown's going, and then you're jacking with your camera, so things are sideways, and you're making all these weird noises. And I'm like, is like that going to stop the exact moment when the countdown hits 0 and the red light turns on? So that was the hesitation there out of the gate. But I'm good. It's Monday. We've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. It's 99 degrees in Colorado, so all is right with the summertime.
Doug, which one of us has it worse when we're away from the Fresno or Newark? Which, like, where would you rather end up? Where would you rather be? I'm thinking Fresno.
I don't know. I was thinking Newark.
Really?
First of all, Fresno's fine. It's really growing on me. It's not that bad of a place. People give it a bad rap. But as far as like the peripherals around Newark, there's nothing around Fresno. Well, you got the national parks a little ways away, so I shouldn't say that. But Newark, I mean, boom, you just go over and you're in Manhattan, and everything. So I guess I'd pick Newark.
Yeah, I think you probably got something there, man. It's just it's still California, you know. Like, California rules. I mean, we should switch. You come to Newark for work for a week, or we'll do them together. You know, you come to the East Coast, and I'll come out to Fresno for a little bit. I am back on the road. I'm starting to be back on the road. So next week, I think I'm going to be in Boston for a few days, and then I think I actually have to go to Minneapolis. And then the week after that, I'm in Grand Rapids. I'm speaking at Michigan State for I forget exactly. I know what I'm talking about, but I know it's like a big. And then I'm speaking in Charleston. I'm speaking in Virginia. I'm speaking. It's like, you know, they got a dancing monkey again. So let's go dance, monkey dance. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and then one of those trips is going to find your way out here to the great state of Colorado.
Yeah. What's Colorado? The Rocky Mountain State? Is that what they're calling it?
Centennial.
That's kind of stupid, Doug.
1876. That's when the state. So 100 years after the founding of our country.
New Hampshire's the Granite State, you know. California isn't California like the sun. No, Florida's the Sunshine State, and New Jersey, I think, is the Sucky State. I think that's what actually. No, it's the Garden State.
Garden State. Yeah. Golden Gate.
Never underestimate the drawing power of the Garden State, Doug.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, man, let's rock and roll. Let's get into this thing. What I let off, so you get topic number 1.
Well, topic number 1 this week is it's a 3-letter trade deal that most of us thought would never get to talk to or have to talk to about again, and that's the TPP. So a long time ago, Doug, when the Earth was still green, the Trans-Pacific Partnership was an idea that really was hatched to try to find a way to cut China out of the regional trade that was going on in Asia and to increase the visibility of the United States while also giving just unprecedented access to Asia Pacific and Asian countries to the United States marketplace. And it was not necessarily the idea of the United States, but we definitely drove it, you know. And then when it came time to sign on it, President Trump decided, why don't we do that? Like, why would we actually join this thing? There's not enough in it for us. No. And just just the I think it's soybeans and corn alone would have been like $155 billion over the course of 10 years or something crazy like that. I mean, we really missed out. So now it's kind of gone on without us. And Japan has become the leading nation as far as getting people together, fostering conversations about how to grow it. And they've really taken on that leadership role when really, honestly, man, it should have been us. So in Seattle this week, the APAC countries are all coming in. You know, it's probably like a Shriners convention. Everybody's coming on out to Seattle. And the TPP is going to be up again. They're going to start talking about it again. And does the United States have any interest in re-engaging in this massive, massive partnership? So it's rearing its ugly head again, Doug. I think that I've always believed the TPP was good for the United States. That's just because I'm a nerd, right? But that's not a opinion that's well held by a lot of people in Washington who believe that there's just not enough in it for us. Trade agreements sometimes should be more about getting stuff done than worrying about who's got the upper hand. And just by saying that, I feel a small part of my soul die. But that's the case, Doug. And I think we're asking too much on something that could be so much for us.
Well, I was talking to somebody this morning about the old adage, if there's too many cooks in the kitchen, things kind of just don't seem to happen. And conceptually, it sounds great. I think that there's just not a whole lot of tangible that could come out of it, right? I mean, you and I could debate all day long about the pros and the cons. Initially, I was like, well, that was just a reaction to Trump to crush the dreams and hopes of a prior administration, which could have some relevance. And some...
It could. You got a great point, Doug. It absolutely could have just been like, nah, I don't think so.
I think it was like, not even the first 100 days. I think it was like the first 100 hours that the kibosh was put on that. So it seems kind of like what's going on. But if you take a step back and you do individual negotiations with countries, I think they're more targeted, more specific, and could be more beneficial. So I don't know. There is strength in numbers, right? But I think the more people you get involved, there's a lot of conflicting interests, maybe the wrong word, but things may not be able to move as fast for benefit as it could on an individual basis.
No, you're 100% right, Doug. And the reason that's an important distinction to make is, it's funny, every week we put our names up as we join, and I didn't plan this, but I said Henry Kissinger this week, Last week I was Stan Marsh. I've been Santa Claus, you name it. But every week it's usually someone different. And one of my favorite lines from on diplomacy, his famous diplomacy book, is diplomacy takes its time because it needs to. Because there are so many things that could become problematic if you rush into it. Not everyone agrees with that, and certainly not the Trump administration was more of a, when you've got all the momentum. And you're the biggest wallet at the table when the check comes, you should pretty much decide where we're going to go eat. And he kind of threw all that out the window. I guess time will tell whether or not it was a wise decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into mine. Yep. I'm going to jump into mine here real quick. And after I sent over these topics just a few minutes ago, I was thinking that both of my topics are kind of doom and gloom, which is I had a great weekend. I'm feeling good. The sun shines out, summertime. But I was like, man, these are kind of some negative topics. The first one, which just had some news over the weekend, and we've talked about it several times, but there is tremendous relevance, is Yellow and the negotiations that we've talked about in the union situation. So the dumbed down version is Yellow opted not to pay $50 million of a benefit payment that they were required to help for the union and the benefits and the payments, literally health benefits and things of that nature. And Central States Fund is the actual name. That's who Yellow did not pay. And Central States Fund said, okay, we'll go ahead and extend benefits for 30 more days, for one more month. But Yellow, you got to pay that $50 million within a couple of weeks. So the strike has kind of been inverted. And I wanted to take a different perspective on this, right? So we got the here and the now, and we're looking 15 feet in front of us about What's going on? Are they going to strike? Who's got the upper hand? My bigger take on this, Pete, is I think the writing's on the wall, and Yellow is kind of a dead man walking, right? In the sense, for a couple of reasons. One is there is enough domestic capacity right now to absorb 100% of Yellow's business between all the carriers, the regionals, the nationals, the super regionals. So it's not like there's going to be a catastrophic challenge with capacity. And the second one, which I think is more important, is that the duration of this conversation has been long enough that people have been able to prepare. And when I mean people, I mean the users of the service, the customers that need to move their product across the country and North America, as well as the service providers, the other LTL carriers. So they're like, hey, something's going on. We need to prepare. So there's plenty of capacity, and everybody, shippers and other LTL companies, have had time to adjust their networks and be ready for it. So if the button is pushed and there is a strike, is that going to have negative implications to the industry, or is it going to be just horrifically negative indications to Yellow? And even if they come to a resolution, is it too soon or is it too little too late? Hey, we fixed it, we're ready to go. And people are like, hey, sorry, I moved my stuff to another company because you guys were messing around, and we're done. And then all of a sudden their volumes implode, and then you're dealing with layoffs and other labor issues, and the thing just starts spiraling. And 6 months from now, even if there is an agreement, what does Yellow look like? And in my opinion, it's not going to be very good. And they are on a thin line, even with an agreed negotiation. So I think that Yellow's in a world of hurt, even if they do come to a resolution, because of time that people have had to react and the natural flow of freight, that there's a lot of capacity in the market. So I think they're in a world of trouble, man.
They're the second person today whose opinion I treasure, Doug.
Thank you.
That said, talk about bad timing, right? Like just having a really hard run at it, and then capacity drops through the floor, and now you got to deal with this. And we're an opportunistic business. We as a business follow opportunity where we see it to sell it. And then our clients are always looking for opportunities to do it faster, cheaper, better, than what they're doing now. And it's not going to wait around for this. Our industry is not going to wait around for Yellow to figure itself out. There might have been a time a couple of years ago, but right now, I don't think they're going to. And I think that it's at the detriment of Yellow. The same person said something to me I hadn't really thought of. Can you name another head of the Teamsters? There's only one I could think of. That was Jimmy Hoffa. Mm-hmm. But it's Hoffa and then O'Brien. He has done an excellent job of getting out there. I think that most Americans know the case for UPS and Yellow. I know they know it for UPS. Many Americans, people that aren't even in our industry, they understand what's going on, and that's his doing. And he's turned himself into a very visible mouthpiece. Still, Mr. O'Brien, welcome on the show anytime.
Yes.
We will give you a complete access to say whatever's on your mind, and our thousands and thousands of listeners and viewers would be happy to hear it, I'm sure. But you're not hearing that from the opposition. You're not hearing they're not effectively using social media and effectively using what really has become a common town square like Twitter to make people consider anything but the fact this is probably going to go down.
Yeah.
To make people move, Doug.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Twitter will no longer be Twitter. It'll be X, right?
That's right.
Is that the new coming out?
Yeah.
Black X. So awesome. Here's halftime. We got a good one for you. Of course, the show and halftime's brought to you by Cap Logistics. If they weren't here, we wouldn't be here, Pete. So we always have to say thank you to that group and Keenan for making it all happen. So caplogistics.com. With that, let's jump into halftime. I'd say you're first. I'm first. Your call, my friend.
Yeah, let's jump into a new segment. I need Keenan. Now, I'm going to admit I stole this from a local radio show, but we did take the Ozzy Osbourne "No More Tears" song and turn it into Peter's Tears, right? Right. We need to turn that into that, because this is going to be a reoccurring thing where I'm going to tear certain things. And this week there are 5 tiers, the lowest tier being number 5, highest tier being number 1, candy, Doug. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, I want to make it clear, if it's not chocolate, it's not making the list. It's not even in the 5th tier. You can take your Sour Patch Kids and your Starburst and you can shove them up your nose because that is not candy. All right. And now this is ironic, Doug, because I do not have a sweet tooth. I'm not a dessert guy, but from time to time I do enjoy the candy. And I'll tell you, the bottom tier, so our entry level tier, anything that is chocolate and mint, it's at the bottom tier. I will only eat it if it's like comes with a check or something. I could care less. Like I'm even over junior mints, like the whole concept. It just tastes like mouthwash. So that is on the bottom tier, as is practically anything with nuts. There's some exceptions, okay? But chocolate and nuts together, no good. Now, 4th tier, these are great candies, but they're not Hall of Famers, okay? So we're talking about most of the M&M's family. There are just too many flavors to really get into. In the 4th tier, I'm also putting the Simpsons candies, Butterfinger, Baby Ruth. That's also there. Local favorite in New England, Charleston Chew, also in the 4th tier, solid candy. The 3rd tier, these are greatness. Okay, so this has what it takes. First team All-American kind of stuff, and in that you're going to get anything basically that's a plain chocolate by Cadbury, Lindt, the Lindt balls, also like that as well. But really the exciting tiers are 2 and 1. Tier number 2, absolutely anything made by Reese's. Anything at all made by Reese's. The peanut butter cups, the sticks, anything at all from the Reese's brand to make it into tier 2. I'm also going to put plain Hershey bars. You're going to have to, as much as I love chocolate, I'll admit, not the best chocolate, but a good Hershey's bar out of the freezer, it's a thing of beauty, my friend. Also, anything that falls into the chocolate and caramel category, like Rolos, Twix. I'm putting Twix here as well. But for number 1, all right, on the top of the tiers, the Dove individually wrapped chocolates, top of the tier. And also, again, this is going to be controversial, I'm sure. I can hear the phone's going off as we speak about this. I cannot say enough about what I call the stoner candies of my youth. That would be the Zero Bar, the Zagnut Bar, the Payday Bar, not Payday, Mr. Good Bar. These were the kinds of things that we would get at the mini mart that was also selling us beer when we were 16, when we would pick up a pack of rolling papers. So that goes into that top tier as well. Doug, where do you stand with candies?
Don't think about them a whole lot, but so to answer your question, where would Score Bar, right? That's the toffee and the chocolate. What tier is that in?
Tier 2. And Score bars are significantly better than Heath bars. They're just better. Much better.
Got it. I'm more of a, not a hard candy, but I want, let's see, hot tamales,
Doug,
cherry sour.
No.
Gummy worm.
This is why halftime sucks, because like most of the time you and I can come to some kind of middle ground, but the fact that you would go sour and like gummy stuff, I can't even stand to look at you right now. How could you say that? Are you the guy that goes to the movie theater and gets like jujubes and good and plenties and crap like that?
No, I'm the guy that goes. Yeah, I'm the guy that goes to the movie and brings the stuff in my pockets. Right, I bring it in. But when I'm in Fresno, Pete, I go to the Sprouts Market.
Okay. And
I take the bulk candy, the big scoop of whatever their cherry sours are. I get like a pound of them, and I just eat them throughout the week. I'm a cherry sour guy.
My mom was too. No, it's just, you're just wrong, Doug. You're so wrong. When I'm on the road, I go to Whole Foods and get my salads there, and that could be a whole other halftime sometime. The people I run into at the salad bar at the Whole Foods, guys just reeking of patchouli oil and peace, and me. Yeah, but Doug, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Okay.
All right, what you got for halftime, buddy?
All right. Well, mine is related to the film that films plural that everybody's been talking about, and the funny name that has been come up, Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. Yes.
Barbenheimer.
Yes.
I think it was 155 million between the two, or maybe it was 155 for Barbie only. I can't remember, but biggest box office since the Avengers pre-COVID. So, and that got me thinking. I'm like, what's it called when they mash all these words together? And it has a term.
Mix up?
It's It's I wrote it down to make sure it's portmanteau. Portmanteau. TEAU. Mm-hmm. So there's got some French in there, and so a couple for other examples. Let's say Brexit, to be topical with our company. The British exit. Benifer. Yes.
Benifer. Was it Brangelina?
Yes. Yeah. And everything. So I pulled a few things out of here. I am going to read a few definitions, and you got to tell me what they are, right? So
hit me.
I won't throw you under the bag here. So I am going to say, let's see, chunnel. There's another one that's topical.
Yep. I've taken it many times. Yep.
Yeah. A word used to describe the Channel Tunnel that runs between the UK and France. Chunnel. Let's see. To take someone's car by force.
Carjack.
Yep. To your halftime topic, someone who eats excessive amounts of chocolate.
Chocoholic.
Mm-hmm. A close relationship between two men.
Bromance.
This is like the $20,000 pyramid. I got a couple.
You and I would crush a game show together. You realize that, right? We would crush a game show. Like if there was competitive Pictionary, we would destroy it, the two of us.
Yeah. Let's see. This one may be a little bit difficult. Let's see. Games or other forms of entertainment that have an educational aspect.
Infotainment.
Edutainment, but
edutainment. That's
yeah. That one was a little. Let's see. Cosplay. Whoops. Hold on. That's what I was supposed to ask you. I'm going to get one more. Then I'm going to give you my favorite one here. To estimate without solid facts or figures.
Guesstimate.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we do that a little bit here on this show when we throw facts and figures out. There is a purpose behind them, but I think there's some guesstimation that goes on. And then I'm going to give you my favorite one here. Hold on. A hybrid form of cutlery.
Oh, spork. Do you know where the spork was invented, Doug?
Right.
New Hampshire.
No, in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yes. The spork, the clock radio, Velcro, Granite State, baby. We got it all. Before we get off at halftime, Doug, I am a movie person. I love going to movies. I know that you are not as much of a film dork as I am.
Filmographer. There you go.
Filmographer, sure. I went and saw Oppenheimer this weekend, and a couple of things I'll say about it. First of all, the theaters were packed, and I probably go to a movie a week. So and I went all throughout the pandemic wherever I could. I have not seen theaters packed. You couldn't get seats together. I went to a place where you buy your seats ahead of time, so we got lucky. But packed, people on either side of us just packed. It was wonderful to see. Wonderful to see. Second of all, if you've read the book American Prometheus, it's incredible. I love math, I love science, and I love Oppenheimer. The person, just what he meant to this country. They did an excellent job of translating as much of the book as they could into like a 3-hour movie. It's a sit, pal, when you go to see it. But they did an excellent job. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to publicly say it, Doug. Oppenheimer is now my all-time favorite movie.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yes. Yeah. So it has replaced Lawrence of Arabia, which was for the longest time, my favorite movie. It is dethroned that. It is possibly the best acted, best written, best directed, best scored, best filmed film I think I've ever seen. And the use of sound and the use of color and the acting by Cillian Murphy, absolutely incredible. If he doesn't win one, if Robert Downey doesn't win one, if oh God,
I don't know.
One of was Mary Poppins. If they don't win awards for this, I will be shocked. It is an absolute feast for the senses, and it is a movie that will move you. It will absolutely move you. It's incredible. And if you haven't read about Oppenheimer, I can't recommend the book enough, American Prometheus, and it will change the way you see the world. The book and the film will absolutely blow you away. No pun intended. I haven't seen Barbie yet. Maybe Barbie will be better. I don't know, Doug. But Oppenheimer is an absolute. I mean, it's a tour de force of filmmaking. It's incredible.
There you go. Yeah. You had it. You heard it first. I'm thinking like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure would kind of be on my tier. So my question is: it better than that movie?
It is, but St. Demas High School football still rules, Doug. It still rules.
Good play. I love it.
That is such an awesome movie. That's one of those movies that, like, at 2 a.m. when I can't sleep, if it's on, I'll always watch it. Like Meatballs and Stripes. Like, I will always watch Bill and Ted's. What a great movie.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, well, let's shift back into gears and the purpose of the show, which is global trade. We're talking about it this week, so I think you're up for topic number 2.
So the head of the economic advisors to the Fed and gave a speech last week where he said that everything is great. And there's no other way to put it, right? He said that there's nothing on the horizon that would appear to be stopping America's just incredibly well-fueled financial ascent, that things are just great. And there doesn't appear to be anything that's going to get in the way of that getting better. It was just like, shiny, happy people, everything is awesome, don't worry about it moment. And he said that although consumers and Americans may not feel that way, they don't know what they're talking about because everything is awesome. And I did a little extra research. The consumer price index is ridiculous. We still have a problem with inflation. Americans aren't buying stuff, and our credit cards are all maxed out as a nation. And I just have a hard time saying to myself, everything is awesome when, guys like you and I work so closely to the supply chain. It doesn't feel like it is, Doug. Does it feel like it is to you?
I think big purchases, I'm talking like big purchases, like housing, to buy a home. I saw an article today. Yes, I actually get the paper, right? My wife got cornered walking into the grocery store like a month ago to get the paper for whatever. And she's a teacher, so she's off school. So she thumbs through it to get to the crosswords and stuff like that. And 90% of it's in the trash, or recycling, as I should say. But the headline was "Golden Handcuffs" related to home and buyers, where I am in that category. An absolute killer interest rate on my mortgage, and to move up and to do the next thing, there's no way I could go from my current interest rate, which is 3.15, and buy a new house and have that thing jump to 6.5%, 7%. And so there's some big purchases, in my opinion, that are still holding things back. Whenever you start having the housing, there's going to be a point, Pete, that, and if it drops to like 5 or 5.5, there is a tipping point where all of a sudden the housing market is going to explode. And if you're not ready, set, go, you're going to miss out, and housing prices are going to skyrocket again. But I think that until the interest rates come down a little bit, the whole point of all of this is to keep those big purchases under bay and get everything under control. But I would agree with you that it's not all. I can't think of a funny term to use, but
not all puppy dog kisses and wedding cake, Doug.
There you go. Yep, that's a good one. It's not all there for me quite yet.
I need to buy a new car. So, Charlotte is going to be driving, and I told her she could have the Jeep. And I'm going to have to buy a new car. Now, I was going to buy a new car not long ago, but I decided not to get a Bronco. And I'm telling my daughter she may have to wait because I generally buy cars in cash, and they are horribly expensive right now and hard to find, and I don't want to have to finance anything. I'm also looking to buy a home soon, Doug. The magic number, according to economists, is 5%, right? Like you said, if mortgage rates hit 5%, people are going to lose it and just start slinging houses all over the place. But once that happens, you're probably going to see another period of time where they begin to descend again. So something to keep in mind is when you start seeing houses going all over the place, it's probably a precursor to a change in our economic future.
Yeah, agreed. All right, man. So I'm going to go back to my doom and gloom topic theme, my doom and gloom theme for this week. Again, I had a great weekend. I don't understand why I'm so negative, but here's the deal, Pete. Autonomous trucking is pretty much dead. The concept of let's come up with all these self-driving trucks. It was an interesting blip that happened during the financial explosion of the logistics log fi, I think is what we used to call it. The amount of money that was pouring into the logistics industry during COVID. But, new technology and the innovators and the disruptors, all of those were getting noticed. Funding was coming out of the woodwork, and there was lots of interest and talk about it during the pandemic. But if you look around at all of the big players that were happening back then, they're either out of business or the valuations are 10% of what they used to be. So just a couple of them. A company called OTTO, that was bought by Uber, and they pretty much shut that whole thing down. Peloton Trucking, which was all about platooning. They're no longer around. Starsky Robotics, they're gone. A couple other ones where they've gotten IPOs or SPAC engagements for some funding. They're just not doing very well. And in my opinion, the concept of an autonomous truck is still decades away for taking that into a commercial application. People still want to drive, Pete. I want to drive a car. I love being behind the wheel. And although I don't drive trucks, there's people that feel the same way about getting behind, a semi-truck and having that control. Other folks are scared of robots and what's going to happen, and you don't have any control. And it's hard to comprehend that. And then the liability and insurance around that of the what if, you have to insure for the what if, and the what if is intangible, which means you have to insure for the catastrophic because it's such an unknown. So I think all those factors, the whole concept of autonomous trucking has come and gone. Are there going to be people that still tweak it and test it and do some stuff? Yes, but it's decades away. And I think you're going to see a lot of companies that were going to be catastrophic in their growth are not coming back. And I think that whole industry is going to cool down and kind of be, a back page story moving forward.
Doug, I was trying to remember. There's like a little company that's doing these cars, trucks is doing that. Tesla. I think they're still doing their autonomous trucking. There's another one. What's it called again? Daimler Chrysler. Yeah, I think they're doing okay. Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Fiat, Renault, Peterbilt, Packard. They're all still in it, Doug. Yeah, I checked, and I don't know if you've checked out their stock prices, but doing pretty good. So yeah. I think that there's a difference between also ran technology companies that are just getting their lunch handed to them. That they didn't do anything. They came up with some great ideas that they were unable to either protect or implement. And now these bigger companies are going to gobble up those ideas, not unlike the PC movement. Doug, don't throw dirt on that grave yet, pal. Don't throw dirt on that grave yet. I hear you, but I don't believe you. So I'm not going to go so far as to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say that I think we're way too early to call an end to this one, pal. If people in the Teamsters union keep striking and causing delays, you're going to have a real easy time convincing supply chain people that drivers aren't really necessary. So yeah. I feel you. I hear you. I just don't believe you. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one. We'll
I don't
see.
know if I fully disagree with you. I think that these are trying times for that industry, but I think that there are some massive players that they ain't giving up, buddy. They ain't giving up. Yeah.
Well, they're going to chase the big players are going to chase the money, and the money is in electrification, not autonomous. And I think that's going to take front and center for a while.
I think the two go hand in hand, my friend. I think they do. But we'll see. I don't. Before we break? Did you get Keenan's review questionnaire? Like how am I doing for his annual review? Because I didn't get one, and I was gonna be a lot of 1-star crap this year.
Well, that's the thing now. I think somebody told me that last week. It's called 360 peer review.
Oh, I hate those.
Not only it's top down, but it's peer review, and everybody I've spoken to said the concept is great, and some consultant is making a ton of money on it, but the extra effort and work that every one of the people I've spoken to whose companies embrace that is overwhelming.
Yeah. I'm not going to say what company it was I used to work for that did this really stupid thing, but we used to have calibrations of people's reviews because, your boss doesn't know it well enough. So maybe you're just not calibrating them enough and calibrating the review properly. And people would just come into these conference rooms and just like trash people's reviews. I don't think that's, now that I look, well, have you ever worked with that person? No, I don't think you're looking at this. You have confirmation bias on certain things. Yeah, because that person works for me. Needless to say, I didn't do very well in those calibration modules.
Shocker.
Yeah. Putting a bull in a china shop like me doing a peer 360 review probably didn't go over very well. But in any case, so all kidding aside, Keenan does an amazing job. And when one of us can't make it, he's a wonderful, wonderful co-host. So as much as we like to snap at him, we couldn't do this without him or without Caplogistics. We wouldn't want to do it without Keenan, frankly.
No.
So we thank him. We thank everyone at Caplogistics. To learn more about Caplogistics, visit caplogistics.com. I think it's worth noting, Doug and I don't work for this company. We work for competitors, as a matter of fact. But we're on here every single week. We believe in them. We thank them for the time and the effort that they put into us, and we couldn't do this without them. So hats off to Caplogistics, and I guess kind of my hat off to Keenan, I guess. Yeah.
Good.
So
hey, that's a very generous comment to clarify with everybody, like, why are all these different company names up there? So I'm glad you called that out.
Yeah. And then one more thing. We could have a pretty exciting announcement soon about a live show. And I think we'll probably end up talking about that in the coming weeks. But you're going to have Doug and I in the same airspace. And let's see if Keenan can get his hair out of his face, and maybe we'll get him on there too.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Keenan in the booth, and we'll see you again next week for another exciting edition of Global Trade This Week. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Good to see you.